Hi, Lumpur. A great teaching, a great to remind us to be back to where it should be. Yep. I'm new to Dhamma. Yeah. Can I ask you very basic questions? Because you mentioned about still mind and you mentioned about investigation. So, like we sit down and meditate, watch our breath, the sensation from top to toe, to have the mindfulness back. It's that period. The mind should be silent and no investigation. You call samadhi. And then after that quiet mind, quite stable, established or grounded, then any aversion, we see it as aversion. And if any craving, we see it as craving. Or together with craving just come up, we need to investigate the cause, discern it, etc. So it seems like not just see it as the aversion, the craving, but you have to investigate why it happened, what underneath that caused happen. Thank you.
Yeah, the normal way of practice and teaching about it is to say we have to develop this quality of mindfulness. And as mindfulness becomes more continuous, we experience what we call samadhi, where the mind is still, firm, unwavering, undisturbed, because then it can really know and see things as they are. And when we say know and see things as they are, we mean using the tools, particularly the tools of the three characteristics: anicca, impermanence; dukkha, unsatisfactoriness; anatta, selfless nature of physical and mental phenomena. So like you say, you've practiced and you've developed more mindfulness to the point where your mind is more still, more quiet. You're not lost, you're not falling asleep, you're not lost in your thoughts, you're aware, you're there. Well, then you can contemplate. And you can contemplate whatever comes up into your experience. So like you say, maybe you have some aversion arise, you hear a sound that's disturbing, or you have some pain in your leg. Contemplate it. And when we say contemplate, observe the anicca, the impermanence of that experience. If you're contemplating a feeling, it's just a feeling arising, passing away. And it's not easy, is it, to contemplate a painful feeling? That's why you need the steadiness of mind, of samadhi. And the stronger your mindfulness, the stronger your samadhi, the more efficiently, the more effectively you can see pain as a feeling arising, passing away. You can see that because it's arising, passing away, it's not a self, it's not something solid, lasting. You can even see that with pleasant feeling, because a lot of our behavior is running after and creating opportunities for more pleasant feeling. We become a slave to the craving for pleasant feeling. And you can see that when your mind is still, firm, you can see that pleasant feeling is impermanent, unsatisfactory, not self. What does that bring you? Well, that brings you a realization, something that I used to think of as very good, very important, something I need to cling to and want, is not so good. It doesn't last. It's impermanent. What's impermanent isn't really me. It's not something I can cling to and say, this is myself. It doesn't work. That's just the external appearance of it. But deep down, you can see, a feeling is just a feeling. There's no person. It's not a me, you, us, or them a person. It's just a feeling. You see that in your pleasant feelings, your unpleasant feelings, or if it's just mental states, you may have a thought, of irritation. You remember something that irritates you, annoys you, or gets you angry. You can see, it's just a thought. That thought arises, passes away. It's not a self. When you're mindful, you can do that. When your mind is quiet, it can see that. When you do that for a while, though, you'll find after a while you're getting caught up into the normal thinking, reacting to your world again. The hindrances, the mental hindrances and the distractions of the mind return gradually, because when you contemplate, it's tiring. It uses up your energy, and your mindfulness will start to fade, and you'll just be, wanting and not wanting, liking and disliking again. So this is why we have to go back and develop mindfulness again. And a lot of our practice is like this. We develop strong mindfulness as strong as we can, make the mind really calm, clear, still. Then we contemplate our experience, the body, feelings, memories, thoughts. We contemplate for a while, and we may get some clear understanding. Oh, this is not anything lasting. It's not a self. These are just physical and mental phenomena. But then that realization fades. We're back with just the normal thinking. What have I got to do next? Oh, work. Oh, time for meal. Oh, bedtime. The normal habitual thoughts, reactions, craving and attachment of the mind will return. So then you have to go back and reestablish mindfulness. And this is one of the most disheartening, disappointing parts of the practice. Is you attain some samadhi and you put some effort into bringing up mindfulness. Then you examine things, contemplate things for a while, and it goes well. But then it all seems to fall apart and you're back to square one. Oh, what do? You have to start again, re-establish mindfulness again. If you've been practicing for many years, you'll have done this hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. So that's why it's a bit disheartening, and you have to keep summoning up the energy. But if you keep doing it, well, you may get better at it. That's the aim. You get better at establishing mindfulness, maintaining mindfulness, developing insight, contemplating anicca, dukkha, anatta. You get better at it. So it gets a little easier over a long period of time.
Yes, Kim, you have another question.
Yes, thanks a lot for that guidance. About investigation, okay, we need the wisdom or the right view to investigate or to discern. But then at the beginning, for example, the mind still deluded. So how can I know what I discern or investigate by wisdom or wrong view, wrong belief? So you get to the wrong conclusion. Thank you. Thank you, Lupa.
Well, the practice, we have to train in many elements of the practice. So we're training in mindfulness, and we also have to train in investigation, insight. It's a training, it's a practice. So you experiment, so that you develop a state of calm. Mindfulness becomes a bit stronger than normal. So you feel it, you feel calm, your mind has better energy, you've let go of the distractions, say. But what comes up next? You may have a very ordinary thought. Oh, what do I do next? That's a very common question, isn't it? People say, when I become peaceful, what do I do next? The very thought, what do I do next? You can contemplate that. Just see, oh, it's just a thought. It arises, passes away. Or you come back to the body, contemplate your body. Ajahn Chah used to say, if you're not sure what to do, how to develop wisdom and contemplate, come back and investigate your body. Ask questions about this physical body. Because when your mind is calm, you have this ability to look back at the body from a place of detachment, more detached awareness. So you can contemplate feelings as well, contemplate the body, question it, investigate it, pull it apart, as it were. Investigate feelings. How real are these feelings? How lasting are feelings? Are feelings able to bring me true happiness? Even very pleasant feelings, how long do they last? What are the most pleasant feelings human beings can have? Maybe. sexual pleasure or eating nice food or listening to beautiful music, seeing some beautiful image. But how long does the feeling last? This is what we call investigation. And you don't have to look far. Your experience is already giving you the raw materials to investigate. When you're calm in meditation, investigate the very pleasure of the calm maybe, or investigate the body, contemplate the elements that make up this body. How real is this body? How real is the happiness you get based on this body? You know, there's so many areas to contemplate. There isn't one thing that's right here. You take up whatever thought stream that arises out of your peaceful mind, contemplate it. If it's a very wholesome, skillful thought, you maybe just run with it. You meditate, you're peaceful, and you start to think about somebody you know who's suffering. Oh, that person I know, they're having so much trouble in their life. I feel sorry for them, really wish them well. Okay, if it's a wholesome thought, it won't disturb you too much. Just contemplate that thought, contemplate the suffering of that person as you know them, contemplate your own experience of compassion arising at that moment. There's much to contemplate at that time, and if it's a wholesome thought, it won't disturb you very much. But if you get the opposite, you remember someone you hate, you're peaceful in your meditation, but then the memory of that person you hate comes up, well, you have to do a different kind of contemplation. And you may have to say, this angry train of thought is accompanied by an unpleasant feeling. This is suffering. I don't like this. This is not good for me. You know, if you're quiet, you can see that. This is to be abandoned. How can I abandon this? Do I have enough mindfulness just to see the feeling, the unpleasant feeling as a feeling? Let it go. The train of thought as just thought, mental formations, let it go. Or do I have to work harder? Maybe you don't have strong enough mindfulness to see the feeling and the thoughts as impermanent. Maybe you just have to calm yourself again. You know, you've been calm, then you start thinking of something that brings aversion. Maybe the first thing you have to do is go back to calm yourself again. So you bring up metta, to bring up a sense of goodwill directed to the person. Rather than thinking of what makes you angry about them, you think about something good about them, or you think of them as a human being who still suffers like you. Try and find something you have in common with them. Bring your mind back to a sense of calm, and then maybe you've let go of the anger, the angry thoughts, the unpleasant feeling, and you can say, anger is impermanent. I can see it because I've let go of it. What is impermanent is not a self. It's an impermanent mental state accompanied by an unpleasant feeling. There's no self in that. So all the time, your investigation is exposing the three characteristics, but it's something you have to train in. It won't necessarily happen just like that. You know, some people become calm in samadhi and then they just go dull. It's like, oh, this is good. They become numb, become dull. Maybe that leads on to sleepiness, but even if it's not sleepiness, maybe they're just sitting there dull, but they're not developing any wisdom yet. So the Buddha said you have to watch that. You need effort at that point, effort to direct your mind to contemplate, to develop wisdom, insight into the three characteristics. So that's a training. That's something you have to put effort into. One more.
Kim has got a follow-up question. One last question, Kim.
Small one.
So I just would like to be clear. So in one sitting meditation section, I can do samadhi, then investigation, samadhi, investigation. Not just say quiet mind for half an hour, and after that, just vipassana in half an hour. Not that way. Not that way.
There's no right answer here. You have to, through experience, meditating regularly, you get to know what your mind needs. So most of us, our mindfulness is weak. it doesn't stay for very long. You know, you stay with the breath for a few minutes and then you start thinking again. So you need to do a lot of effort, putting effort into developing basic mindfulness, which will lead to development of samadhi. But sometimes your samadhi comes up quickly. You're very calm and you just contemplate. You spend your whole time contemplating because your mind is very calm and there's no distraction. It's easy and it's good. Other times you can't contemplate at all. You just have to spend all your time trying to develop more mindfulness and steady the mind and bring up that present moment awareness, because the mind is thinking all over the place. You know, it just depends what's required. So there's no one answer here. Generally speaking, your aim is to develop strong mindfulness and contemplate the three characteristics of existence. But there'll be different approaches you need at different times. It's not always one approach.
Thank you, Lampo. There is a question here. And this question from a person named PA. The question is, we are constantly multitasking in our day-to-day lives. Even though we know from Buddhism that our attention cannot be divided successfully in that way. What advice can Ajahn kindly provide on how to multitask in the lay world? Thank you.
If you want to learn how to multitask, become the abbot of a Buddhist monastery. Sometimes you have to do 10 things at once. Like you say, you know, you can't really multitask. You can only do one thing at a moment because your mind can only be in one place at a time. It's just you may have many responsibilities depending on your role, your place in life, what you're doing. And so that gives us the sense of multitasking. Maybe you're overseeing other people who are doing jobs, different jobs, and you're kind of overseeing. So it seems like you're multitasking, but of course you can only oversee one thing at a time. How do you do that best? Well, you practice mindfulness. And sometimes the Buddha even compared the quality of mindfulness is like the prime minister or the CEO or the person in charge of a group of people. All the other qualities you're developing in the practice are like the ministers or the staff in the company or whatever. You know, you need mindfulness in the center. And then from mindfulness, you've got the ability to pay attention and see what else needs to be done, what needs to be attended to. So sometimes in terms of your personal practice, it will be sila is the most important thing at this moment. You know, somebody is annoying me, I'm tempted to break my sila and be very rude and abuse them. Or at this moment, the company accounts are in front of me and I can see I've got a big chance to commit fraud. So I better keep clear that I'm not going to commit fraud. So I keep my sila at this moment. You know, at that moment, sila is the most important thing to be mindful of. But then in another situation, maybe you're on your own and you're doing some work and you're feeling tired. So you have to be mindful of the state of your health. Maybe you're overexerting, getting exhausted. Maybe you need to stop and go and get a rest. Mindfulness allows our wisdom and our intelligence to function at its best. And so if you are in a position of responsibility where you have to do many tasks through a day and interact with many people and maybe oversee many people, what we call multitasking really is your aim is to bring up mindfulness as much as possible. And this is why sometimes it's important to realize, even if you're faced with many tasks to do, multitasking, sometimes it's useful just to stop, pause, take a few moments to compose yourself, gather your thoughts, gather your mental energy before you continue. That would seem sometimes like wasting time or the wrong thing to do. And of course, if there's an emergency or something urgent, well, maybe it's not the right time to do that. But when there is an occasion you can pause, gather your energy together, that will help you to deal with all the different tasks you have to face. So try and see the importance of, you know, taking a few minutes to follow the breath in the middle of your busy day. If you've got to meet people and talk to them and you're tired or busy, well, compose yourself so you don't take out your own stressful feelings on those people, or you can listen to them and communicate well with them. And you'll notice when you are tired, doing many tasks, your ability to concentrate and successfully accomplish these different tasks starts to diminish, doesn't it? Because you become tired, it's hard to concentrate. So that's part of the whole picture, isn't it? You got the big picture. Mindfulness allows you to pay attention and be aware of many things at the same time, and in a succession of situations, you bring up mindfulness to see what's the most important thing here. So sometimes it may be you have to say, oh, it's time to stop and rest because I'm too tired. Other times you have to work. You have to summon up effort when you're feeling lazy or you can't be bothered, but you summon up effort because of the duty, the responsibility that requires you to do something. Sometimes you have to be firm and make quick decisions and firm decisions. Sometimes you have to say, no, we're not going to make a decision yet. We're going to stop and consider for a longer period. And you have to be able to know when to do that, don't you? When to be firm and make a quick decision, a quick judgment sometimes. And then you have to know when to take your time and not make a quick decision. Mindfulness is in the center of that, allowing your wisdom, your intelligence to function and do the best job you can in the situation. So mindfulness practice will help. Meditating in the morning before you go to work. If you multitask at work, meditate. If you're at home and you're multitasking, looking after your working from home and you've got kids and you've got to pay the bills and you've got to keep the household going, it also is multitasking. Do some meditation first thing in the day, get the mindfulness there. This will help you.
Thank you, Luang Por. There are no more questions from the floor, Luang Por. Would you like to perhaps take an early break now?
A break from multitasking or onto my next task somewhere else in the monastery?
Yes, I think so, because I think you've been online for the last 3 hours.
That's all right. Yeah, if there's no questions, we can end there. There'll be other times we can chat in the future. So thank you for listening tonight, and we'll pay respects to the Triple Gem.